láyé olúgbọ́n mo ké borùn méje ẹ ò máa kọ̀ yí lórin láyé àrẹ̀sà mo ké borùn mẹ́fà ẹ ò máa kọ̀ yí lórin láyé ìsẹ̀yìn èmi ra kókò mo ra rán mo ra sányán bàbá sọ àfọ̀lẹ́ ló lè pélé.
Hello everyone, my name is Adeyemo Adegbemiga Ganiu and I welcome you all to my new Yoruba Abraham YouTube video. Today I want to touch on what they describe as Holy Land for the African people. So Africans need to know the route of where they are going to, or to where they hold to heart as the land of the Almighty. So I will touch on the detail. Let's quickly jump into what we actually know by Holy Land, or the reference to Holy Land, what it basically means, using the both Abrahamic books so you will understand where I'm coming from. It is known today generally that the Egyptian civilization was influenced by the Nubian ancient people, and they are the Egyptian civilization got to its peak with the influence and support of different African people who earlier dwelled across the land of North Africa. Because when we are talking about the ancient Egyptian land, it is about the entire territorial location where when there is no border, there is no country, there is nothing. So they are interwoven people. You can hardly tell the differences between the ancient Sudan and from the ancient Egyptian. Likewise, the ancient Israelite with the ancient, because all of them were uniformly black. As a matter of fact, the ancient Egyptian territory before the partition into country encompasses the places where we know as today Israel land. So Israel land was never a single colony. If you check today's tectonic location today, Israel is in Northeast Africa and was basically part of the ancient Egyptian territory. Likewise, the case of the Sudan, even though they have different history, but they marry themselves, they go back and forth. That everything that made Egyptian to be great are people of the Nubian, the Nuwabi. This is why we have the case of Abraham, Jacob leaving Sudan, because it's like a border. Jacob leaving Sudan, his brother sold him to Egypt. It's like a border, leaving Sudan and being sold to Egypt. Till today, you hear the case of Moses, born in Sudan, taken to Egypt. You heard Moses married an Egyptian. Joseph went to become a governor in Egypt. That is from the religion perspective, but in reality we know that the Yoruba people from the Ijebu, they continue to go to Egypt, influence the Egyptian culture. Even the Egyptian language is a typical Yoruba word, and so many things and so many. Do you understand? So let me give you an instance of what I mean. Like in the Quran, it is commonly said that Abraham lived in Baka, and that Baka is a reference to the North Sudan Jebu Baka, Ijebu Nile Baka near Lubarika, which are the Napata area in North Sudan. And the Bible also said it that Abraham lived in Israel land. When we are talking about the same Israel land, the Israel land is still within the Egyptian terrain inside Egypt, which is also at the axis of the lower Egypt at the upper side. So it's like saying Benga is from Nigeria. Fine, you are right. Benga is from Lagos. I'm still in Nigeria. Or you say Benga descend from your state, you are still right. So you are picking my story from different perspectives, even though the entire story is still revolving within Nigeria. Do you know? That is exactly what happened to the Abraham. So different people are picking Abraham's story from different perspectives, but that doesn't mean all of them are not from Egyptian terrain, because Egyptian is a name of the entire topography area, while Kemet is the original name of the indigenes of those places. Do you understand? So that is how that one go. So what does that mean now for today's Middle East? We need to first understand that the Middle East used to be a pure arid desert land where no human used to live thousands of years ago, and everything you see today in Middle East are staged. They are nothing real. They are stage factors. They are clone factor of what has been existing in Egypt. This is why they continue to try so hard to cut Egypt out of Africa or to even cut Israel, but it has been impossible because so many of the artifacts that are found in Egypt can still be related to the Central African and the West African people. They are endless coronation, and our forefathers were so intelligent to understand that a man called Abbasid even tried to blow up the Egyptian Sphinx, but it was impossible. So many people tried it. Napoleon too, they tried it. If it is possible for them, they will have even carried they will have even used helicopter to carry the entire Egyptian pyramid and go and drop it in Europe. But it was impossible for them. So this is what I'm saying. The whole history of Abraham or no Abraham, everything happened within Egypt, and nothing was happening in Middle East, and that is for a fact. Let me give you an example of what we know. I mean, as far back as 600 years ago, or should I say 9th century, 9th century, within the 741 AD, that was when Saudi Arabia started to be functioning, that the history of Saudi Arabia began to occur. I mean, this is the same Saudi Arabia that people, the Muslims, continue to flaunt, that continue to describe as an ancient land. So how can their history start to pop up just recent, around 741 AD? And they only began to include them in the Middle East map as well, around 900 AD. Until today, the Saudi Arabian prince have tried everything possible to bring different scientific excavator archaeologists to come and dig out the footage. None of them are still be able to find a single archaeological record till today, because no one was actually living there. The place was an arid desert, unlivable hot region with a high scorching sun. So the exact desert used to be a terrain, the footpath, the trailing map for Bedouin Arab on caravan who come from Egypt to Middle East, and Middle East maybe for businesses or so. Do you understand? So no one was living there, and it has no Abrahamic history as well. So, and the Persian you are now saying today that are now occupying the entire Middle East straight down to North Africa after their conquest, these are the same people who came all the way from far northeast, which are today's Iran or Iranian close to the Turk. They are the same group of people. After the fall of Egypt for the second time after the fall of Egypt, they uniformly spread across and they break down in smaller ethnic countries or smaller ethnic groups to form mini countries. This is why they became uniformly dominating the entire place. Do you understand? Like the case now, if you check out the nationals of today's Saudi Arabia, no Saudi Arabian has an indigenous national. They are either from the Persians, or they are either from the Turks, or they are all the same Persian Babylonians who spread across. They are the same people. You will understand as we further go. So what really basically now happened is that they couple with different Europeans. The land of the Middle East became very an interesting region for certain reasons, like the rich oil, or the deposition of the rich oil well that they can dig from. The European got interested in the area, the region. Likewise, in the case of the sculptural antiques of the ancient Egyptian of the Africans that they cited the first time they visited North Africa, they got obsessed with those antiques, and they really wish back those things were theirs. Their obsession to override the identities of the Yoruba people also contributed to it, because if you check out detail today, the Persians now officially impersonated the real Ijebu Mohammedans, which are today's Jukun, the Nukbe, the today's Jukun, the Sheluk, the Tuba, as in people like that. They are the real Muhammadan who fled into West Africa when the Persian invasion was looking very horrific. Do you understand? So the Persian basically impersonated the identity and make themselves the new Mohammedans, just like the European also impersonated the initial Jew of West Africa, which are the Yorubas from Ile-Ife, and they now acted up like the white Jewish people. So the Persians and the Europeans, they had both similar interests in Middle East, and both of them did the same atrocities to the people of the book. So they basically have no good ties. They have nothing. They have nothing with religion or something. Everything they did and what is happening in Middle East is all political. So they began to replicate. In a nutshell, they began to replicate every single thing they met in Africa to Middle East and created a colony which they recently established for themselves. In breakdown, Northeast Africa was officially coined and pronounced as the new conspire colony around the 9th century or 19th century by by an American Navy strategist known as Alfred Tyler in 1890. Likewise, the diversity Caucasian people who are now today random mixed invader descendants who now occupy the entire Middle East to North Africa today. They also got their own racial eligibility or recognition too through another British ethnologist known as Charles Gabriel Seligman, I think around 1930 as well. And across that same Middle East, the Persians and the Europeans now share those colonies among themselves based on political interest. Do you understand? So the presence of the Europeans there and the presence of the Persian there is all political. It has nothing to do with religion or heaven, and that is a first African need to first understand. The Europeans are from Europe, while the Persians are from Far East. They are not from Africa or have anything to do in Africa. Their presence in Africa or close to Africa are all political. It's all about political interest. So Africa needs to understand what is going on in the Middle East. That is where I'm going to. And the indigenous Asian black-skinned Africa who earlier uniformly dominated that place, that small colony of Egyptian annex that he dubbed as Israel. They are the people we know today as the Philistine. Let me even come down again to the land. Like I keep saying, Israel is never a name of a country. Let that sink in your mind. Israel is never a name of a country. It's the name of the man known as Jacob or Akobi traditionally, because Akobi is a Yoruba word which only indicated how favor he was than his brother. That is a typical Yoruba with the same meaning that also reflects his legacy. So the people of Akobi, they are migrants who goes here and there, and that is where the concept of Oya Sheriola come from. Baami Akobi, Baami Oya Sheriola was later abbreviated to Bani Oya Sheriola, Bani Israeli, Bani Israeli, Omo Baba Mi Oya Sheriola. They are people of migrant. The father Akobi has plenty children, and these children spread across, and they begin to move here and there. So their movement from one angle from Africa to another place became what they reference to as Oya Sheriola, Yasheriola. But after the fall of North Africa, each single one of them reverted back to West Africa in backwards migration to integrate back to their majority kind, where their forefather earlier left from. Do you get it? So everything about Israel, the name Israel is a name the European coined to form modern day Israel land. But even though the colony pre-existed over there and the initial people that lived there were also black Philistines, go to YouTube as you are now. Stop this video, pause it. Go to YouTube and type North Africa and Jerusalem original color in HD. You will have idea of who these black Philistines are, because as years goes by, believe me, they will take down that video because they are trying to keep their tracks. Go and check it. You will see they are typical black people, and ancestrally they are related to the modern day North African, East African people, especially from the Kenya region straight down to straight down to Central Africa. Do you understand? So these Philippines were dark-skinned Africans of Negro descent straight from Kenya, and as far back as they still existed, and these Philistine people were completely taken out politically, and the Persian remnant and the Europeans who came to conquer that land, they shared the colony among themselves even till today. Do you understand? So that is how the European installed their presence there. Likewise, the Persian. And after the lands was completely overridden by the black skin, was completely overridden from the initial black skin Palestine, the colony was later renamed to Palestine, from Philistine to Palestine, and now being dominated by both the Persians and the Europeans who jointly invaded the place. So as years went by, the Europeans and the Persians began to struggle for population dominance in the land they both collectively stole from the black people. Very funny people. They evicted the same black people they evicted. They are struggling because they are people of rivalry. You both stole something from a black. I don't want to go there. So they dwelled there in the year 1946. That was when the European and the European body, they collectively created a new state of Israel and began to look for every diplomatic means to fully eject the failed Arab Persians out of that place, because they wanted to completely dominate the area of Israel for themselves. There are even stories that the Vatican was the one who sponsored the first people of the Israel and the first people of the Persian that lived there, because they wanted to kick out the Mohammedan out. There are so many conspiracy theories. I don't know how true that one is. So what basically ended up happening is this: all Persian ancestry related people across Middle East now continue to throw their full support behind the Palestinians, who are their fellow Persian set in Israel land. Likewise, in the case of the all European nations too also collectively began to throw support behind the new state of Israel. So even though you now see today Israel people and the Persian people who are modern Palestine fighting, is just a proxy war. The real war is behind the Europeans and the Persians. Why those people are just the frontier on the ground. This is why the Europeans or the Americans will keep supporting Israel nation to go to any length. Why the entire fellow Persian related ancestry of the Persian who are of the same Persian ancestry, they will always support Palestine. So it's never about religion. And you can see references from a book, The British Empire in the Middle East, by W.M. Roger Lewis, which was in between 1945 to 1951. It will give you a clue of what is actually happening. So, and this has become an unending conflict between Middle Eastern and Europe of North Africa for hundreds of years, ever since they evicted. Because their story is just so funny to me. It's like there are two robbers, you understand, two robbers who joined efforts to go and rob a man, and they killed that man, stole all his belongings. So when it comes to the time for them to share what they stole, they began to fight themselves too over what they stole from the deceased man. Do you understand? So the war now goes on, but people always try to make it look as no, it's a Muslim fight to Christian fight. There is nothing religious about their conflict. It's all political. Therefore, Middle East drama with the West absolutely have nothing to do with Abraham, Jacob, his Negro people, or even the entire African people by default. So Africans should stay away from it. And the same war absolutely have nothing to do with religion or faith. Taking your money there for pilgrimage, you are just wasting it, because the answers, the Abraham and all these Abraham prophet you are going there, they don't have anything to do with that place. The root of those places, the existence of it is based on conspiracy, is based on falsehood. So it has nothing to do with religion. And likewise, the entire settings, the location, what they portray to you as holy ground, only sacred places, they are cloned and staged places. The pilgrimage to Arabia, the Jerusalem, they are designated and calculated conspiracy to make you give everything you have so that they can continue to milk you and nothing will happen in terms of return of spiritualism. So if you ask an ordinary Palestinian today that what happened to the initial Philistine people who are there, three arguments always come up. Some of them we dub them as a sea sailor who migrated back to Europe and passed through the Mediterranean. Some of them continue to describe their non-existing presence there anymore as a vanished civilization. Some of them even said they are Europeans by default. But the wall paintings, everything that are there, just like the way Egyptian too has continued to be portrayed as a white civilization, when everything there is actually referencing to black people. That is exactly what is happening there. So they did all these things to make sure that the African doesn't think deeper. So I'm not here to derail anybody from his or her religion, but you need to start asking questions. We are in the 21st century. You need to start asking questions. Stop living in the world of delusion. Afa mi sọ pé, my pastor say, my hadith say, my Quran say, my Bible say. What is your own say? What is your own say? What is your own opinion? Go on. There is no way you will like the Almighty. There is no way you want to be loyal to the Almighty and stand with Him with falsehood. Everything of the Almighty is truthful. So if you want to really be truthful with the Almighty, you have to go for the truth. Stop hiding behind religion and stop defending religion, which is why I don't defend religion, I defend truth. So everyone who feel offended that I'm bringing out the truth, I'm sorry, I can't help it. At the end of the day, it is only truth that will prevail us, that will make the Africans realize is that what you are looking for is Shokoto is actually in your Shokoto. If you are so desperate that you want to go for an Hajj, then go to Olumo. Go and make your Hajj there. Go to Oke Asabari. Go to your own ancestral figures where you can make your Hajj there. But going down to Middle East, you need to read more books and realize that less than 600 years ago, nothing was existing there. They are just milking you and lying to you. So to be religion is not enough if you are not educated. And that is what is affecting so many people. They are not educated. They got their speaking ability from the reading of Bible. While the Muslim, they most of them don't even want to think of anything because they begin to think that everything of reading is evil. If you don't read, how will you be able to reconnect back to what will really favored you? They say who doesn't have a root will give in to anything. So I'm not here to demonize any religion. I'm just here to wake all of us up. I'll see you in my next video. Please help me press the like button, help me share it, subscribe, and help me press the like button like I say. I'll see you in my next video and bye for now.